Okay, start with number one. Star Wars: The Force Awakens repeated number one in its fourth week. Made 41 million, about a 53 or 54% drop off. And
Hmm.
right now it's at 812 million domestic, which is the number one movie of all time
Yeah, in the U.S.
in the
domestically.
US, right,
Yes.
domestically. But it's only
Um.
third worldwide behind
Yeah.
Avatar and Titanic.
Yeah. Yeah. Avatar was at 760, right? Domestically.
Yeah, Avatar is 760, Titanic is 658.
Okay. And worldwide Avatar is at like 2.78 billion, and Titanic is at like 2.2 or something. I don't think it can make another billion overseas. I mean worldwide, because worldwide Star Wars is at 1.7 billion. So in order to break Avatar's worldwide record, it would need to make another billion.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, January is the slow period, as you can see. Any holdover from the holidays dropped precipitously this week, including the Force Awakens.
Well, yeah, but it still made 41 billion. I mean, million, not billion.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Which is if a new movie opened to 41 million, that's pretty good. you
Yeah,
know,
that's what we.
but
Yeah,
but this movie
it's
made
still
that in its fourth weekend.
yeah, it's still very good. It's still great. I'm just saying the weekend following New Year's is always I wouldn't say a bad weekend. It's just that
Mhm.
the whole world was tend to experience steep drops. So this steep drop is expected, and
Yeah, yeah. Let's just call it hangover from the new year,
yeah,
from
yeah.
whatever
Okay.
activities you were doing.
So what do you think? Do you think it can gross another billion worldwide
I mean,
get to Avatar?
like I said, domestically, I don't think it can make a billion.
Yeah, because it is
Not,
slowing down quite a bit. We'll have to see how it holds up in the following weeks. This week, historically has always been a huge drop, but who knows? Maybe in the following weeks, it'll continue to be leggy.
and I think it just opened. I think Saturday in China, and opened to around what 51 million.
Yeah, 53, depending on when people look up those numbers because of the fluctuating exchange rates. So yeah, 51 or 53 million, depending on when you do the exchange.
Right,
Which
and
is
if they're reporting the numbers accurately or not. You never know.
we'll take their word for it. Otherwise,
Right.
the whole system is messed up.
Okay, okay, okay.
And of course, Disney has been spinning it as the biggest Saturday opening of all time in China and the biggest weekend opening of all time in China. And some of the people who look at these things are saying, well, it's probably one of the few films that open on a Saturday in China.
Right.
In China, the release schedules are kind of wacky because films can open on a Monday, Tuesday, anytime during the week, even on
Right.
Sundays.
Right.
So there's
Whenever
no,
there's
yeah,
it seems like there's no planning involved. It's just like whenever a slot
yeah,
opens and you can put it in.
yeah. Whenever slot opens, whenever it's convenient, whenever the government doesn't want the foreign films to impact their local products, they'll open it on a Sunday instead of a Friday.
Right. Exactly. It seems like okay. Right. You have it all planned. You had your release date, and the government can come in and say, "Hey, you're not opening this movie at this time,"
Yeah,
and then they have to slot another one in.
yeah. But nonetheless,
Hmm.
irregardless of all that, 53 million is a huge number. So all this talk about how people don't know about Star Wars and Star Wars isn't big in China is just, I think people were just a bit too, I don't know, because of how the prequels did, and I think they look at it. I think someone mentioned that all the prequels only did 18 million in China
Hmm.
combined,
Hmm.
but one thing that you have to know with China is it depends on the year that it opens. 18 million now doesn't sound like much, but depending on the years that those films open, because China's film market has grown so much year by year, like 30 to 50% every year, can't compare it to nowadays numbers. Otherwise, films from several years ago would all be complete bombs.
I
Yeah.
think what they're saying is that the Star Wars as a cultural phenomena does not exist in China, unlike
I,
here.
well, yeah.
I think that's what they're saying. Like the Force is not strong over there. It's as
Well,
it is here.
well, I don't think the force is strong anywhere else as it is in the U.S. It is strongest in the U.S. But in China and everywhere else, I think it is strong, just not record-breakingly strong. You know what I mean? So in
Right.
China, I think they took the extreme route of super pessimistic route of, hey, they don't know about Star Wars, which is a good, if you want to ensure that it is a hit, it's a good place to start. You want to plan for the worst. And they inundated the country with music videos, lots of marketing. It worked out really well. But I think, we might have to look at those prequel numbers depending on the year that they open. And it might not be as bad as they made it out to be, because 18 million doesn't sound like much now, but people have to remember when Wumbo in the Bronx was a huge hit in China a decade or two ago, it only made 5 million. But if you were to say, hey, Wumbo in the Bronx was a huge hit in China and made 5 million, you're like, right now, 5 million is nothing when, movies in China can gross 400 million.
Oh, right, exactly. It's just
Yeah.
times have changed. I mean, China right now
Yeah.
is what the second biggest box
Film
office,
market in the world,
yeah, film market in the world. Right.
almost at 7 billion, and they're expecting it to be the number one film market in 2017.
Right, and the young people are looking for entertainment, and if you market the movie as the event movie of the day, the week, or whenever, right? They're going to turn out for it because hey, it is what people are going to be watching and what they're going to be talking about. Regardless if the brand is strong or not, if they know that it is the film to watch, if you're into movies, then they're going to go.
Yeah, I think one thing that people who, the reporters who said that the Star Wars brand isn't big in China is they don't realize that. And they mentioned how, well, when the film first opened in the US, it was during the Cultural Revolution in China, and people didn't go to movies. But one thing they don't realize is that old film stars, like especially action stars like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger, even though their careers have been winding down in the US, are still big in China. And one of the reasons is, even though they didn't get a chance to see their films in theaters when they were first released in the US, they are able to watch it on video. And Stallone and Arnold are still a draw in China because they've seen their films on video, and this is their first chance to see them on a big screen. And it might be the similar thing for Star Wars. They might have seen Star Wars on video, and this is probably one of the only times they can see it on the big screen.
By video, we mean bootleg, right?
Yeah, bootleg.
Right. Okay. Just to be clear.
Yeah. So those prequel numbers we might have to take a closer look when we get a chance, because depending on the year they were released, they might have been hits. Because
Right.
a hit several years ago is only like 5 million or 10 million is considered a hit in China, whereas right now 5 or 10 million is considered a complete bomb.
All right, right. I mean, when you think about it, 2015 is a very good year for movies, box office wise. I mean, it has 3 movies in the top 10 domestic, and I think 3 movies in the top 10 internationally as well.
Yeah, top 10 of all time. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's Star Wars. There's Jurassic
Jurassic World,
Furious 7, Age of
Avengers, Age of
Ultron.
Ultron, yes.
Right.
All right. In any case, to summarize, Star Wars: The Force Awakens is on the $1 billion watch domestically, and worldwide,
It's
if it
on the
can cross 2 billion,
2.7
right?
billion watts. It looks like it'll definitely cost 2 billion,
Mm-hmm.
but whether or not it'll get to
Well,
2.2 billion or 2.7 billion.
yeah, let's take one milestone at a time,
Okay,
so we
right.
can have
Okay.
things to talk about. I mean, see, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Domestic, right now it's at 812. I don't think it can do 1 billion domestic. I mean, right, 200 million to go. Wow, that's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot considering how it drops. Right, and internationally, it could cross 2 billion, probably likely,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Right.
But we'll see where it ends up. I mean, it's definitely right now it's in the top 3. But we'll see if it can cross Titanic and Avatar.
Right. And the big news over the weekend for Star Wars was definitely the China opening. They've been looking forward to it. They've been talking about it, and 53 million is a solid start. We'll see if word of mouth will keep it going. Although some have said that although it did 53 million, it made 30 million on Saturday and then it dropped on Sunday. Yeah, and some people have mentioned that, well, if it really did have word of mouth, it wouldn't have experienced a drop on Sunday. But historically, movies make the most money on Saturday and then there's a drop on Sunday. And Star Wars, because it didn't in China, because it didn't open on Friday, it's a bit front loaded on Saturday, anyways. I wouldn't put too much into that, the droppage from Saturday to Sunday, which is what usually happens historically, anyway.
All right. Then we'll follow this up next weekend, which I'm sure we'll be talking about. I think Star
Yeah.
Wars: The Force Awakens will probably drop to number 2 or 3
Yeah. Yep.
next week. So I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk about it some more.